Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Thursday, August 28th, 2025, and I have a few updates for the front line in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So apparently, if you take a look at the blue area here next to the red area. The blue area was the counterattack from the Ukrainians, which was finished off with a thumbs up. You can see here the thumb and the hand, so that's a thumbs up. Here's the arm and here's the shirt. So they gave it a nice little thumbs up to that whole operation. So that should raise some concerns right off the bat. But anyway, apparently the Russians are advancing in this direction. They have stopped the Ukrainian counterattack, um, and they're retaking some of this territory that they had taken earlier. So I'm going to draw a line of the area that apparently they have been um, adding to their salient. So here we have them to the west of Shachove. Then they go up to these three communities, and then they come back down to Vilne, um, Nove Shachove, to the west of Nove Shachove. And so this completes the area that they were that the Russians have retaken. So anyway, if this is true, then as we had seen in my update yesterday, um, the Russians had secured an area to the north of Udachne, to the east of the um, coal mine that they use that the Ukrainians were using in their Ukrainian production of steel. So they blew some of the shafts as Russia approached. So it's basically a mine that has been incapacitated. But anyway, here is the line that they were um, that of a salient. I don't know if this was a two-man team, but in any case, you can see kind of where this is going. If you can see that this is a big flanking maneuver so that they can outflank some of these larger cities like Pokrovsk. You have Dobropillia, um, and they have Novodonetsk. Um, so anyway, this flanking maneuver um, is looking pretty interesting. Now, if we get rid of those lines and zoom out a little bit, and then redraw the lines. So anyway, if we have this area here, and we have an area here. So basically, you can see where things are going. You can see here Petropavlika. This whole area, that there are some large cities to the north of Mirnograd, northwest. So the idea would be to outflank these cities and to continue their flanking maneuver here. And so they could begin to avoid some of these populated areas that are going to be hardened and fortified with good Ukrainian defensive positions. So if they can cut off these cities, cut off the supplies to these cities, then they can take more territory with less losses as far as soldiers and equipment. So anyway, you can see kind of what strategy the Russians are carrying out. Um, and I'll get rid of those lines. So Also within the area of Pokrovsk, they have retaken some territory here. So you can see that they're going back in to the urban area of Pokrovsk, something which I didn't expect, because if they carry out the flanking maneuver and they cut off the supply line to the soldiers in Pokrovsk, eventually they would run out. But there is an urgency right now because we're at the end of August, and soon they will be preparing for their wintertime to set up their wintertime uh, fortified hideouts to wait out the winter. So right now, the Russian soldiers are trying to get these some of these ground gains before they get into the winter. But anyway, you can see again that Russia is basically moving this way and moving this way. And so all this area here, these are large urban centers. All these could be outflanked, and then they could cut off the supplies to the cities, and then they could take them one by one. So anyway, that was my first update for today, this Pokrovsk area update. Now, if we go over to the Kostiantynivka update, um, apparently the Russian forces have extended further into towards Kostiantynivka, and pretty soon it will be in the urban areas of Kostiantynivka. Obviously, the direction would be going up here. Um, there's a town here, Berrystock. Stock means hill. So anyway, they would want to avoid the areas that are difficult to hold and where Ukrainians could have fortified positions. So if they go up here through the kind of marshlands, they can come into Konstantinovka through the south. So you can see the direction that the Russian soldiers are going. But before they do that, they would let me get that line again. Before they do that, um, they would want to take this whole area, and that would cut off all the Ukrainians who are still in this zone here. And once they can cut off this area, then they can start moving towards Konstantinovka. So you can see this is kind of step by step. In the with the Russian military, uh, the first thing they do is the artillery preparation. It could be air launched, or it could be truck launched, or it could be their howitzer type rockets that are launched, and so they force the Ukrainians to go into defensive positions. Then they start to move their advance forces in small groups, and when they take an area, then they're followed up by the regular army. So this is a long process and takes time. So I'll get rid of those lines. So that is the Konstantinovka update. Now let's go over to the Lyman area, or Lyman, however you want to call it. Um, I was projecting that the Russians would either go through the marshy areas towards to outflank Liman. So basically, my idea was that they would go over to this area where there's rivers and kind of marshy areas, and then come over to outflank Liman and cut it off. Um, you can see in Liman there's a lot of marsh and rivers and streams and all that in this area. So this is like a natural barrier. So anyway, if there were Ukrainian soldiers, on this side, they would have to go through this marshy area and they would be susceptible to drone attacks. So anyway, um, it looks like that is the direction that the Russians are going to be going in. They took a fortified area around here, so they will kind of jump or hop from fortified area to small urban areas, and then continue on through these natural barriers and natural protection areas so that they can get to Liman without having to do a direct assault. Excuse me. This area here in front of Liman is all open field, so it is that is a kill zone. And if they sent motorcycles or tanks or vehicles, they could all be destroyed in this area. So this is this area here definitely not. Um, and so they will more than likely go to the north where there is more protection, natural protection, and so here's like trench area, and then here's a small town, and then they can move um, to the north and to the west of Liman, kind of like what they're doing in Kupiansk. So anyway, that is an update on the Lyman or Liman area, however you want to call that. Of course, the goal of this um, troop movement is to get to Sloviansk, but that would be going through a lot of urban areas where Ukrainians could have um, fortified defensive positions. So, in any case, once they get to Lyman, and they take this, let's say they take this whole area here, then they can they can move. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So let's say they get the Lyman area, and they get this area, and so eventually what they want to do is merge the two salients together, and also to the south of Pokrovsk they want to connect all these, so then they would have basically do something like this. Anyway, that's further down the line, and things could change quite a bit. Ukraine is shifting around their fire brigade, so to speak, the troops that put out fires in different parts of the front line. So what Russia is doing is it's adapting. If the Ukrainians move a lot of their forces to one area, the area that abandoned, they can advance, and then when they return back, they advance in the area that was abandoned afterwards. So anyway, this is basically my report for today, and so you can see that there are important advances on the front line in the Ukraine-Russia battle. Um, and so we'll see where that goes. But anyway, that is my update for today, Thursday, August 28th, 2025. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Bye bye.